Messi won the World Cup in 2022. That sentence doesn't capture what actually happened. For 22 years, Messi was the best player on the planet. He won everything, except the one thing that mattered most. And then, when everyone thought it was too late, he finally got it. This isn't a sports story. This is a story about how the greatest player ever almost became defined by the one thing he couldn't achieve. And it changed everything. In 2014, Messi had a chance. Argentina made it to the World Cup final against Germany. Messi was in his prime. He was playing the best football of his life. This was supposed to be his moment. Then, Mario Götze scored in the 113th minute, extra time. Argentina lost. Messi held that trophy moment in his hands and it slipped away. You know the feeling. Not the football feeling, the life feeling. When you reach for something that's supposed to be yours and it's not. After that loss, something shifted in how people talked about Messi. He won 8 Ballon d'Ors. He won the Copa America. He won Champions Leagues. But the narrative changed. People started saying the same thing. Messi is incredible, but he's never won the World Cup. In theory, one missing trophy shouldn't define a career. One tournament out of thousands of matches. One moment out of millions. In practice, the World Cup isn't a trophy. It's legitimacy. It's the thing that separates great players from legendary ones. Messi knew this. Everyone knew this. So 2018 came. Argentina made it to the round of 16. They played France, and they lost. Messi was 30 years old. Time was running out. 2022 arrived, and this was it. The final chance. The last dance. Messi was 35. If he didn't win it now, he never would. The narrative was set. The greatest player ever blocked from his ultimate achievement. But here's what actually happened. Argentina didn't just participate in 2022. They dominated. Messi didn't just play well. He played with something different. Not desperation, acceptance. He accepted that this might not happen, and somehow that freedom let him play better. They beat Australia. They beat the Netherlands. They beat Croatia in the semifinals. And then came the final against France. France had Mbappe. France was favored. France was hungry. And in the 23rd minute, Messi scored. Then Angel Di Maria scored. Argentina was winning. The narrative was writing itself. Then France scored. And scored again. It went to extra time. It went to penalties. And in that moment, with everything on the line, Messi didn't panic. He was calm. He was present. He was exactly where he needed to be. Argentina won on penalties. Messi finally held the World Cup trophy. And something interesting happened. The entire football world exhaled. Not because they were relieved Messi won, because they were relieved the narrative was complete. The greatest player ever had his moment. The story had an ending. He'd already proven he could win with the national team, so why did everyone care so much about the World Cup? Because in football, the World Cup is the ultimate legitimacy. It's the only trophy that matters equally to every nation. It's the only trophy where you can't buy your way there. You have to be chosen by your country. You have to represent something bigger than yourself. Messi represented Argentina. For 22 years, he carried the weight of a nation that believed he could deliver what they'd never delivered. And then he did. The psychological payoff wasn't about the trophy. It was about the release. For 2 decades, people wondered if Messi would be defined by what he didn't win instead of what he did. That question got answered. The narrative got closed. In theory, this shouldn't matter. The quality of his play didn't change. His legacy was already cemented. In practice, closure matters. Stories need endings, and Messi's story needed this. Here's the thing nobody talks about. Messi won the World Cup at 35. Most players are retired by then. Most players have moved on. But Messi stayed. He stayed because part of him knew this was unfinished, not because he was incomplete, because the world hadn't finished writing the story yet. And when it finally ended, it wasn't just Messi's redemption, it was everyone's. It was the release of 22 years of what if. It was proof that sometimes the best players do get the ending they deserve. So when you think about Messi now, don't think about him as the player who almost didn't win the World Cup. Think about him as the player who finally did, at an age when it shouldn't have been possible. Because that's the real story. Not that he won, but that he waited, that he carried the weight, that he didn't quit, and that when the moment finally came, he was still great enough to seize it. The question isn't whether Messi deserved the World Cup. He did. The question is, what do we learn about greatness from watching someone carry an impossible burden for 2 decades and still come out on top? Because that's not just football, that's life. And that's why Messi's final World Cup will be remembered forever. If you want to understand the human stories behind sports, the psychology of pressure and redemption, and why some moments matter more than others, subscribe. We break down what actually makes these moments important.